Hey y'all, you're listening to Diagnosing Sitcoms and Movies, the DSM podcast. We help make mental health more comfortable by using Black movies and shows we know and love and culture to remove stigma. So join our convo with your host, Courtney Copeland, licensed mental health counselor,
and Dr. B, licensed professional counselor.
I'm your mama, I'm your daddy, I'm that nigga in the alley. I'm your doctor when you need, want some coke, have some weed. You know me, I'm your friend, your main boy, thick and thin. I'm your pusher man.
What's poppin', everybody? Welcome to another episode of DSM Podcast. This episode, we are going to be talking about the 1972 classic blaxploitation film, Superfly.
You know, I just feeling myself today.
Oh my gosh. If you're listening to this just strictly audio, I feel bad for the visuals that you are currently missing out on. Please go to the YouTube page. Hopefully it's uploaded on time because my goodness.
You know, we got ourselves the original Ron O'Neal in the house, also known as Priest. Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Himself here in the flesh.
Okay, no, just kidding. It's just me, Dr. V. I'm in disguise.
Because I can see how you could be confused and really think that it's him.
Yeah, you
but
know.
In addition to the star of this film, of Ron O'Neal, this film also starred Sheila Frazier, Charles McGregor, Curtis Mayfield did all of the music and played himself in the film as well. You know, so a whole bunch of people that you probably never heard again from, except for Roscoe Lee Brow. But, you know, everybody else were pivotal characters in the film.
Indeed. Indeed. I thought it was amazing that Curtis Mayfield was in this movie, but then also is like the person who was in charge of the music, because it's all up, it's woven into that, you know, with that long ass introduction. Whose idea was that?
It was a blaxploitation film. You had to start with the overhead. You had to have that camera angle, especially if it was a movie in the city. Okay. And there had to be a chase scene where the camera was basically moving like running with the camera too. Okay. And like all of those things had to happen in order for it to be a quality blaxploitation film. I'm surprised we have not done more blaxploitation films. I'm so excited.
We should do more because this is my first time doing this. Like,
oh my God. Oh, wait till next week.
Oh my God. I said, Lord have mercy. All you hear, like, it's literally the typical 70s, but with funk. Like, I loved it. It was amazing. It was
as great. Every quality blaxploitation film is. I am here for it. I love it. It's part of what shaped who I am, the person that you know here today. So,
I love that for you.
Same as well. Yeah. See, this is the first time. This is a different side of you, Rosie. Usually you're like, why were you a child watching this? And with Superfly, which is still about, you know, drug dealers, you're like, yeah, no, I get it. What's the difference?
Well, I mean, so they didn't have it on a table with a white light behind it, you know, or had images of people actually using it.
Yes, they did. Priest is sniffing all the time.
Oh yeah, you're right. It looks a lot better.
Oh, it just looks because it's cooler.
It just look. Oh, you got me. Drugs look cool in this movie. It does. Ooh, I said it out loud. It really does look cool in this movie. No wonder why. Oh, yep. I take it back. This movie. Oh. Has influenced an epidemic in our life. Oh, it's pretty cool though. I'm sorry. It is.
It's a great film. This film actually, it often gets confused as like a pimp movie, but he's not. He's a drug dealer in this film, and I don't know why it gets categorized as a pimp movie so often. I think it's just because of the name Superfly.
It's that, and he has the pimp hair.
Not the pimp hair. Was it a wig? Did he have on a weave? I
was trying to see and I couldn't tell. I was like, this is a wonderful lace front. But is it?
Is it though?
Because that was too early for a good lace frontal.
I think maybe it was a track.
Perhaps, because it didn't really flow well. You know? I was like, fix it. Can somebody make up? Come in, fix that little piece right here. They didn't do their job. Or maybe they did.
Maybe, yeah, that's part of, it's supposed to, illustrate the struggle. I don't know. But this film has one of the best in cinematographic history love scenes. I feel like it was so like tastefully done for it to have been a blaxploitation film. I feel like it was passionate. It was romantic. It's not overly like, it doesn't do too much. You just hear a lot of the water and the water sounds is what makes it. Oh, you having a moment. You reliving it. All right. Are you in the tub right now? Okay.
I am in the tub. That shit was sexy. It was oh my gosh, that was like one of those scenes. I'm still an adult and I kind of get weird when I see sex scenes on TV. It's like, I want to look. I can't look. I am an adult. I can look. I can't take my eyes off of it. This one was not awkward. Like, it's like, wow.
It was art.
Nice. I was like, I want that. Like, can someone caress me like that in the bathtub? Surfboard. Yes. Can I? Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know what's gotten into me today. I think it's Superfly.
It's the player, baby.
It's the player. What can I say? But yes,
I love this for you. I'm just so happy to bring you into this.
Yeah. I feel so cozy. Yes. But yes, that was one of my favorite scenes, honey. But then, actually, one of my favorite quotes, random as fuck.
Okay.
Some things go better with Coke.
I've never tried Coke. I don't ever plan on trying Coke, so I'm gonna disagree.
I just thought it was interesting because he offered her some, right? And she said, "Are you leaving?" He put that shit away. He said, "I guess that's a no, bitch." I'll put this away.
Because I'm not staying here with your ass.
Said, okay. He said, nope. I was like, okay. He said he out of this bitch.
Put his tidy whities on and got the hell up out of there.
Okay, Ian did. I said, y'all better. Show them tighter whities.
Put my drawers up, get up out of here. This one tripping.
Okay.
Trying to keep me here.
She's like, some things go better with Coke. She was in her feeling. But I wonder, did Coca-Cola use that line one time? I'm sure they had.
Wow, that would have been marketing genius if they had, but I don't know.
I'm sure because I mean, every time they show someone with the Coca-Cola, they eating something. They did. I swear they did use this slogan. It's actually okay.
Anywho, I think the player is getting it's impacting your brain. It's getting to you too much. You're enjoying the player just a little bit too much.
My bad.
You gotta sit in your player. Get comfortable. Get comfortable in your player. Like, yeah, you can't do too much in your player now. Break it down.
My bad, y'all. That was me being silly.
One thing that was funny to me, and I was being silly, was when he said, "I might have to put your wife out there on the stroll." Because
now somebody's going to work tonight, Freddie.
Somebody. I don't know
you.
Who.
Oh, it's her.
Oh, yeah, her.
Somebody going to work.
Okay. Exactly. Figure it out between the two of you. Just make it work. I don't know.
My money on time.
Man. It was so funny because I'm like, Freddie, the fuck you smiling for? What? It made me mad. It made me want to punch him in the face.
That's why Freddie's dead.
Freddie's dead. But that should be our transition music. Okay. Thank you. Going forward. Thanks. Man.
All right. The other quote that stuck out to me that was made famous by Jay-Z on his album, You know you got this fantasy in your head about getting out of life, setting that other word on his ear. Fuck you gonna do except hustle. He said, besides pimping, and you really ain't got the stomach for that. I was like, is that disrespect? Did you trust in my gangster? Like, no, he's not a pimp. He has, some basic level for respect for the ladies. We don't want people to, right. But at the same point, what the hell you mean?
Baby.
Put you on.
Okay. Shit. That's right.
You'll be OD somewhere, like you just said, if it wasn't for me.
Yeah. That's true.
He was trying my man Priest all throughout the movie, and I just wasn't here for it.
They were trying him. I know. Wait, like, why did these two baseheads just out of nowhere take him out? Where they even come from? He was just trying to be fly, and then he just get mollywopped with a leg
with a railing.
From a chair. Is that a railing? Or I thought it was a leg from a chair.
Either one.
One of them things. Oh, basehead.
A tall ass chair. I don't know.
You right. Yeah. Well, nonetheless, he did get mollywopped.
Exactly.
And they had to go chase this man 15,000 blocks. That's the longest damn run.
First time watching, I was like, she ain't catching no crackhead. But, he tripped and fell, so.
And I'm like, did he throw up his oatmeal?
Right. I thought the same thing. I said, oatmeal.
Oatmeal?
It came out slow. It was like, bleh. Yeah.
That was a defeated throw up. It was like, I can't even lift my head.
You win. Surrender.
That's when I know you've had enough. I'm sorry.
I can't get over this mustache that you have on.
It's everything. I fucking love this mustache. I'm gonna start doing this forever. Every show. My mustache.
But speaking of how people was trying Priest, I just think this was a good depiction of somebody who felt like they didn't have any other options. We talk a lot of times about how gangster films and just people who are choosing to be street professionals within the streets, just feel like there are a lack of options. And he kind of even explained that to Georgia in the film of like, with my record, like I can't do anything. I can't be a civil service employee. I can't. And so just feeling like he had a lack of options and then being successful in one endeavor, but also knowing like, yes, I do have choices. This isn't the life that I want to live. I want out. And we kind of get the old time old tale of one last hurrah, and how that often does not always end well.
Yeah, it tends not to end well. And, that was lucky for him. Oops, spoiler alert. My bad. It does work out for him in his favor. And at first, I was so confused, who are these men that he's meeting with, and why are they covering it with music? Let us in on what they're talking about. That was my only pet peeve of that particular thing. But otherwise, I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? I didn't know until the end when he got into that really crazy, cool, slow motion fight. Karate. Karate. And so, yeah.
That was hilarious.
Oh, I get it now. Those are the white hitmen he was talking about. Yeah, because, black hitmen aren't going to get the job.
Right? I hired the best. White ones.
White.
Oh, no, not white ones.
I hired the very best killers there are. White killers. White ones, baby.
We should be laughing at that, but that was that meant real shit back then.
I mean, it was the 70s, and the the organized crime rings were legit a thing at the time. So I can only imagine. That probably was real.
It was very real, you know. But so is it like common that the acting in the 70s is kind of similar too? I just prepare me for these type of films. Is that what it's gonna be like with the Mac? Oh God. Oh. It is like when that
came up. But it adds to the greatness. It adds to the greatness. It's what makes it so much fun. Like, these are regular people who they just gave a shot. You know what? These people who wanted to make this movie, they wanted an honest picture. So they just went out and got their homies and said, say this.
Yes. And they did it. Like the actor for KC the Pimp or whatever him name is.
These hoes embarrassing me.
I swear he messed up. Yeah. I think he messed up his line, by the way.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. But he's only, you could run out of film. It wasn't digital back then, so they just had to keep going.
It had to keep going, yeah. So I didn't know that, like, he was a real life pimp, though. But he played the part. He looked it too. So I mean, obviously,
he didn't need wardrobe. That's when he came in.
He said, "Fuck out of here. I'm fresh as fuck.
Put my shit on, okay."
Let's go home.
Make sure
real
the camera
quick.
picks this up. Yeah,
right.
I can't.
Anyway,
but my question is, why was the drug montage so long? It's like so long.
They had to show you all of the people, the drug dealers who are in the game, making the money. I guess
we saw all of them. We saw all of them because it was a nice little bit of time dedicated to that.
It was very artsy because it wasn't just any type of like montage. Like it was like, the cuts and the zooming in and the different angles.
But speaking of artsy, I mean, just last year, the film was selected for preservation in the U.S. National Film Registry as being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant.
Yes, it is, because this is like the foundation of our culture, our current culture, if anything, because, I mean, you just mentioned that Jay-Z used it. The songs alone have been sampled several times throughout the history of hip hop. I mean, we can go on and on about how that has impacted just the music alone from this movie. I mean, we got fashion that made its impact as well. I mean, because my man was I mean, you can't be Superfly.
See several of them outfits like now. Like the brown leather joint, I'd wear that now.
All right.
The gray suit with the print, gray suit.
With that, I said, yes. That's
the pattern.
It was a pattern. Listen, if New York and Company come up with that pattern right now, baby. There you go, New York and Company. Come on, I hope you deliver ho.
Okay. Do all counselors shop at New York Company? Is that like a thing? Like
it might be. It might be our clothing store. At least for the women of color.
Yeah, true. Very true. Very true. Did you diagnose Priest at all?
I was struggling because even as I was watching the movie, I was like, okay, Courtney, here you go again. Give me this hard ass movie to diagnose.
You're welcome. I mean, life is hard. Stories are complicated.
You're right. They multifaceted or whatever. So for this one, I was like, okay, what am I going to diagnose him with? And the only one that I came up with was adjustment disorder. Now, friends, for you who are not in the profession, adjustment disorder, I feel like is every counselor or therapist go to when they just don't know what to put down.
But we have to be reimbursed because of insurance. So we got to put something down.
I'm kidding, but I'm not. Because you do have to, especially if we're going to build that for that first session, you have to have a diagnosis. And it's usually that adjustment disorder for most people, especially when we're just starting out, because a lot comes and we are able to amend that diagnosis and add additional diagnosis if needed. So for me, I typically, for clients that I'm getting to understand and know, would use adjustment disorder. And I use, for him, I wouldn't say that they're maybe anxious. because there is a specifier for it. So I would say adjustment disorder, anxious specified specification. I need to find it first. I'm talking.
I was about to say, you mean adjustment disorder with anxious mood?
Anxious mood. There you go.
Okay.
Thank you, because I'm over here looking real tough, trying to talk and do both at the same damn time.
And so I didn't look at necessarily adjustment, but I completely agree with you that definitely could be something to consider as far as making sure that we are addressing all the things, because I diagnosed him with substance use disorder, moderate for cocaine.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like it was a lot of the times where he was anxious, where things were high stressful, where there was a lot going on, or he had to have tough conversations, is when he did take a couple bumps here and there. It was outside of just some things go better with coke.
Okay. Anxiety is much better with coke. Don't, friends. That's not true. Don't do that.
Please don't self-medicate in that way, because we see that it doesn't work out well for you. It didn't work out well for him either.
Right. Don't be getting no smart ideas snorting your medicine either.
Oh gosh,
Delete.
I hadn't even. Oh,
Delete.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, please don't do that. But aside from that, I was concerned with how okay everyone was with using coke, and you sell coke. I have always grown up on the don't get high on your own supply. And so the fact that everyone was just okay with snorting the coke and y'all sell the coke, it was a little concerning to me.
It was. Now that you make that point, I'm like, damn, they was out here doing their own shit. I love that little unk he was rocking though. I was like, all right on. And then he dipped that shit. I said, Lord, not a spoon.
I think it kind of defeats the message.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, took it all away. And I was just like, oh, that's just a little tool to get. Like, no, that's actually meaning. But anyhow,
his tool had to be woke too.
Okay, you better feed that third eye. It went straight up. Bing.
Oh no, not feed the third eye.
I play too much. Okay, anyway.
Can't.
I know. So I don't know. I guess I completely didn't even think about the cocaine use.
Oh, okay. You didn't even pay attention to that. Oh, okay.
Whatever. I was just more concerned at the fact that he's struggling to get out this game, and he's having some difficulties, and he meets the criteria, I feel like, for that particular diagnosis. But I will definitely add cocaine use, moderate.
Yeah. And I think there were just some other things that I noticed about him as well. And just a warning that I would like to give to all of our listeners as sometimes spokesman for the light skin delegation, telling us that we look white, calling us white, referencing that we are in some way closer to white. All of that will get you backhand smacked, just like he smacked the shit out of that one dude, because he said, "Answer me, you white looking." He couldn't even get it all out.
He couldn't even get it
shit out of him.
He sure did.
We don't play that shit. We don't like it. We sensitive. We know we bright. And so when we don't need you to call attention to that. And if you do it in a disrespectful way, be open that you might get slapped.
And this is your PSA.
The more you know. We're sensitive about our shit.
Damn. And then, I appreciate Eddie, kind of having his back, and showing his pistol like, nah, chill out. You don't want them problems.
Picking and choosing when it, was convenient to him.
When it was convenient to him. So let's talk about Mr. Eddie.
Oh, Lord. I wasn't done talking about Priest, but let's get into Eddie, because we come back to Priest. We come back to Priest because Priest was the star of the movie. And Eddie, I just don't... fucking Eddie. He made me so angry. How dare you? You ungrateful sons of bitches, in the words of David Griffin. Not Eddie Griffin, David Ruffin. I be all confuzzled just because out of my anger. Just how dare you? But I definitely diagnosed him with my favorite diagnosis of player hating dickhead, which is a personality disordered I'm so mad at him. How dare you? The person that brought you into the game, he's your partner. He's willing to share everything with you. You could have just kept selling for the white man and let him go. I just don't understand why you felt like you needed to sell him out in this way. And for the criteria that I felt like he met was perceiving and interpreting himself, other people, in events in an altered way, which I felt like he knew for himself that he wasn't shit. Like, you made me this, and this is and who I am, and they will let me live a long life if they allow it. And you think that that's okay. Like, you don't have your own identity enough outside of being a drug dealer that you can't fathom a life outside of the hustle. And so that I was disappointed in him, as well as him not being able to see priests as you know, an entity of wanting to get out and what his life would, in existence, would look like outside of hustling. The affect, the range, his appropriateness of emotional response and trying to get Scatter to help. He go fly off the handle. Like, chill. We asking for a favor. Like, you doing the most. That's why Scatter almost shot you. Calm down. Just, you know, he was doing shit that was making me angry. And then the impulse control, and then picking up the phone immediately after that, man. You couldn't even let him get a head start. You fucking rat.
And then also, that must have been a good neighborhood, because the police showed up real quick.
Hell no, that wasn't no good neighborhood. He already had the motherfuckers on speed dial.
Posted up. Ready to go. He sure
was waiting on him.
He sure did. Yep. Damn.
Bastard. I'm just so angry, even thinking about it. How dare you, Eddie? How fucking dare you, you player-hating dickhead. I just...
He was a big one.
So I feel like I could not... Exactly. I could not treat Eddie if he came into my office. I wouldn't want him as a client, but, you know, we can't just refuse people just because we don't like them. So, like, if you say you were my supervisor and I were to come to you and I were to say, like, this asshole's a fucking rat, I don't want to treat him. How would we work through that in supervision? Because I feel like we talk a lot on the show about, like, this individual I would need to seek supervision for to make sure that I'm, you know, delivering a certain level of quality of care. Like, how would you respond to me if I would be like, he's a fucking snake, fuck him? I can't be like that if he's my client. How would you help me?
Right. So, you know, that's the interesting thing, because when you have you want to have a relationship with clients, right? And so you do want to have a mutual respect between you and the client at some point. So that's one of the things that I would remind my supervisee, is that there does need to be a mutual understanding of some type of respect. And if you really don't like a person, then I would try to figure out and work through with the supervisee or with you, and saying, okay, so what are some absolutes that we need in order for us to do our job effectively? Kind of going through, okay, as a counselor, what are your responsibilities ethically? Do you see this issue getting in the way of you being able to perform your duties ethically for this client? And then ultimately, if it got to a point where you really despised this player-hating dickhead.
And I do.
Then sometimes this is something that is it's taught differently, you know, and it's used in different case examples differently, but that's when you can refer out, right? And by referring out, friends, that means that the counselor would then tell the client that this is a relationship that may not be beneficial to their treatment, and letting them know that that it's time for them to terminate. And it depends on the number of sessions you've also had with this individual as well, right? Because are we learning this as, you know, he's telling us this story over several sessions? Have we built rapport? And then you're starting to learn, like, I just don't like how this person operates. And that's very different than someone who's walking in your door the very first session and you realize they tell you some bullshit and you're like, I can't agree with this. Those are two separate different scenarios, especially working within supervision. And what I would say in both of those situations is, one, on the hand of this person is coming in and you don't really have much other than what they filled out for your paperwork. you have the ethical obligation to sit with them and get to know them, understand them, hear them. And if you find that it's not a good fit, you can refer out. But we can't just refer out based off of, I don't like this person because of how they look, how they dress, or their story. That's unethical. But if it's over several sessions and you're starting to realize, I'm not vibing with this person, I don't like this person, it's okay to refer out too, because you need that. That's a part of the rapport building. You know, that's needed within the counseling relationship in order for there to be success within the treatment plan and all those things. So that would be my response. I don't know if that answers your question.
It definitely does. And I definitely will have to sit with that in supervision, because I do think that so much work could be done with Eddie. I think that street cred wise, there's no redeeming him. But like actual civilian life wise, there definitely is the opportunity to like just build identity. Who are you? Like, who are you outside of hustling? Is hustling all that you are? Okay, then how come you ain't that good at it? So let's build at that. Like, let's look at what other things, make you happy. What other things are existential. I would really like to do existential work with Eddie and really kind of dig into, what's the deeper meanings there. I think that work could be done with him. I think quality work could be done with Priest as well, with him exiting the game and him and Georgia kind of going and starting this life with each other. Like looking with Priest and some of that, I would like to do reality therapy based work and looking at what areas is it belonging? Is it like, what is it that you feel like is an area that is lacking for you? What are the things that you're doing to improve that? What do you want that to look like? And how do we get there? Because I think that with extra supports, with extra guidance, as far as just looking at options and possibilities for him, I think that would be very helpful, because he does have the drive. He has the want. He really is wanting to change his life. And he has the hitman on standby in the event that he gets a hangnail, something happens. Right. So he has lots of possibilities coming out, and he has $100,000 for him to, go ahead and do things with.
Yes, I could use some of that to pay off these student loans. This is a message for President Biden. I don't want to have to start selling drugs. The end.
But don't push me.
Okay.
Because I've been watching these movies since I was a kid, and I know how the game goes.
Lose.
Okay?
Lose. Anywho. But I mean, Priest, that's if Eddie lives. Because if Priest got a hitman for the honky, what they call him?
It's a honky.
Okay, I said hunky.
I don't know.
Hunky.
Just your childhood. What were you doing as a child?
I was being a child, and I still am.
Okay, Michael Jackson. Anyway, but I don't see Priest. I see Priest still having a soft spot for Eddie. I feel like because he knew that Eddie was going to set him up. He knew it. That's why he had Georgia come dressed up in the, that's why he had her come meet him in the elevator, because he knew that is where it was. He knew it was going to unfold like that. He knew that Eddie was just not where he needed him to be. And that's a big lesson, people, is that you have to trust people. Once they show you who they are, trust who you know them to be. And so he played Eddie being a rat against him. And I think that if he wanted to kill Eddie in that moment, he had the chance, opportunity to. I think that still was his friend, his partner at the end of the day. And so while I have to accept that you're a rat, I just have to separate myself from you. Like, I don't want to kill you, because you were somebody who was important to me for a very long time. But it's just, this is where it ends. I don't see him ever speaking to Eddie, reaching out to Eddie, calling them when they get in their 60s to chop it up about old times. None of that. I feel like he was a rat. He betrayed me, and I knew that's what he was going to do. He fed into my plan. That is what it is. And now I'm skipping off into the sunset. And my thing is, how long it will the lieutenant, commissioner, deputy, the white police officers, how long are they going to let Eddie live and be great and stuff for him until he mess up and then they kill him like they did Scatter? So I don't know if I would ever even see Eddie as a client for me to have to work through all of this stuff in supervision to then come to a place to treat him. But I can't say it would be hard.
It would be hard.
It would be hard. Yeah. I could leave, my inner gangster at the door and eventually do the work. Yeah, it just would take me a second. Like I'll have to process it for a second, and then I'd be back in the here and now and in the moment.
I get that. I still believe that Priest is going to have him killed because Eddie's going to try to come after him himself or so. Because we don't know about Eddie. We don't know because Eddie. I don't know.
But if Priest is walking away from the game, what benefit would he get from having Priest dead?
You're right, I guess. I just don't trust him. I would
Good point.
Like, and then,
you never know with player hating dickheads. Their cognition is altered.
Right? So, with Priest, he's like, I don't want to kill nobody and I don't want to end up iced. So I'm trying to get out. And
yes,
I get that. Okay. My 70s lingo. Because these cats need to understand, all right?
Jive turkeys.
So with that being said, I do feel like that's why he had those hitmen hired. And I think he covered his entire bag. Like, not just with one side. I think he would also make sure Eddie was like, don't come around these pots.
Yeah, I think he might have a plan that just wasn't revealed to us in the event that Eddie comes. I don't think that is necessarily a hit the same way it was for the lieutenant, deputy, commissioner. I think they just threw a whole bunch of police titles together.
They sure did. I was like,
anywho, I, however, do like going back to the point of trusting people for being who they are. When Cynthia, the white girl,
yeah, let's call her that. I don't know her name.
Was just so like, oh, you can't leave the game. Just what are you gonna do? That's how you know who is for you and who ain't for you. When you talking about loving up your life and somebody is still trying to keep you at that same negative place that you feel like you are ready to move past from. She was not happy for him to elevate.
She was not. She wanted the real one. That's it.
Oh, pick me ass heifer. I just selling his coke and just no, he don't want to skip off into the sunset with your flat booty.
Sure.
He laying in bed with the one leg up and it don't even jiggle. That's terrible.
It didn't jiggle. Must be Jane. Let me go to bed. After this, I'm going night-night.
What did you think about the most comical character, Freddy? Freddy's dead. That's what I said.
Other than wanting to have a punchable face, can that be a diagnosis?
Wow.
Punchable face.
Clearly police did it. All that fake blood, that bright red paint they had on.
I said, what is this? Who? I didn't even know who it was when I saw her. Who is? Oh, who that man? Why him look like this? No, I had no idea. So yeah, I really just didn't even give him a diagnosis, other than like, I don't know. He was just an annoying character for me, especially with his the scene with his girlfriend, with his wife, I guess. And like, first of all, why is she here? Second of all, she was extra too.
You don't see your wife flirting with the man. You okay with it? And then you don't let her hold the money.
Okay, bitch, give my money. Oh,
I'd have reached in and give my shit back.
Give my shit. Okay, and then this stupid ass giggle he had. What?
Sir, do you not recognize that we are drug dealers, sir? This is illegal activity these are serious matters in which you are engaging in, and you think it's okay for you to just show up late with the money? You think it's okay for you to just be fucking up? I recognize that I said the drop in front of you, and then that's when the police came and found out when the drop was. Like, you can see it in his eyes. He realized that he shouldn't have said it in front of Freddie. Like, and then it just so happened that they popped up.
Mm-hmm.
At the drop. Okay.
And then I have a lot to say about Freddie because he was just really ridiculous. First of all, he just walks into this apartment knowing damn well you owe this man money, smiling.
You thought he was gonna take it on easy on you because you was happy?
Just cheesing like, I got everything going for myself. Sit down. This other man starts talking, and I'm thinking, oh, they're having a conversation about another Freddie. No, they're having a conversation about Freddie sitting right here, who is still, what? Cheesing. The fuck? I was so annoyed. And then, how you gonna get pulled into the police station for being somebody else, not because they took your drugs, not because they didn't have their money for your drugs, but because they what? Was holding your wife's hand? What was that? What?
Yes. And then you heard the police sirens and didn't even try to run. You're just going to keep beating them with the brass knuckles?
With the brass knuckle. And then
you know that you got a weapon and you just going to stay there.
Okay.
And then you get away from the police and you run in front of a car.
And then die. Was that what that was? Because his eyes just... I hate him. It had the audacity.
So can we agree that Freddie deserves to die?
You
usually don't like it when I say it.
I usually don't, but yeah. Because he was just worth killing off, Lord. Because he just, he made me angry.
He made Priest angry too.
Look, okay, I would have been kicked him out the game. I ain't giving him no more nothing, okay? Tell him and his wife to go over there and get some real jobs. And
that's what he needed. That's what he needed. He needed to be a vacuum salesman or something of the sort, because drug dealing is just not your strength, Freddie. It's just not.
It was not.
Look, I don't want no violence, man. Bro, you late with my money. You don't get to tell me what you do and what you don't do.
Okay, and then you use violence.
When you want to use violence. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. And this is why I couldn't be in the drug game either. Because then I would be like, Priest, I don't want to have to kill nobody. But sometimes you got to do it. It's taking over.
You sat too deep in the player. You sat in the player a little bit too. Yeah.
The mustache is just, wow. It's really taking over. Wow. Mustache. I don't know who I am today, friends.
I can't with my pimp hat. My pimp hat is not sitting.
It's doing the Erykah Badu today, honey.
It's doing the Ray J is what it's doing. It's moving all over my head. It's going to be at a different spot every second.
That was a good one.
I can't keep up with it. It's too much.
That was good. Thank you for that one. You are, but it's still cute. We almost done. Who else we got on this list? Because that was all I had.
Just wanted to say how much I appreciated Georgia. I just love her. She was so fly in her fur hat with the coat with the matching hat and the boots in the winter in the snow. Like, I got a couple of these. It's okay. I could wear them through the snow and the slush, and that's fine.
Okay. I want to be her when I grow up. Yep.
She was a writer. She dressed up and for the okie doke, hand off the bags.
She was ready.
Said, I know my road. Let's go. Where are we moving to, boo?
I said, who this old lady coming in the elevator? We got to go down. I said, wait a minute.
Now he kissed the old lady. Oh, that's Georgia.
Oh, okay, Georgia. Listen, loved it.
And we see, because at first it seemed like they just hook up buddies, and then Georgia's like, yeah, no, you're gonna have to open up. She set her boundaries in the relationship. Like, I'm just trying to be here for you. So what's up?
She seemed a tad bit abusive.
Abusive?
Yeah, because she had popped him one good time.
Oh yeah,
stopped her. Stopped her real good. Shook his hand. Come here, baby. Let me make good, sweet, passionate love to you in this bathtub. Oh my God, it happened.
Because that's his voice.
That's
how he sounds.
Better live. I don't know what's happening. This mustache and thing.
It's taking over. But yeah, I just wanted to take a second to shout out Georgia. And the last person that I even considered for diagnosis was Scatter. You gave Priest adjustment disorder. I more so saved that for Scatter because I felt like he was having a real hard time with, am I out the game? Am I in the game? Am I a chef? Am I a drug dealer? Am I in? Am I out? He was doing a hokey pokey with the coke. And it just felt like a lot. And so I gave him adjustment disorder with anxiety, actually with disturbance of emotions and conduct, because he was doing the most. And I just felt bad for Scatter. They ain't had to kill him.
They didn't have to kill him. I didn't understand okay, so when he came to old girl house, Cynthia house.
How he know he was there?
Okay, first of all, okay. And then second of all, how you gonna tell someone to go into their room in this day house? But when you a pimp, you just know how to do things. You know what I'm saying? You run it, you do what you gotta do. He ain't a pimp, he a drug dealer. Let's get it together. Anyhow.
But his pimp game was strong. There's a differential between the two.
Okay. All right. So she gets up, runs her ass into the bedroom.
At her house.
At her house. And he starts
Go to your room.
And he starts talking to Scatterman, and he's like, oh, my mortgage is just a piece of paper. And okay, so he basically was saying that I have no money because I didn't pay my bills.
No, that's not what he was saying at all. So Scatter's whole plan was to go legit the same way as Priest was. Scatter really just wanted to be a legit businessman. He didn't have options at first, so he was in the game. And so then his plan was to get out, own his clubs, he owned and purchased the buildings on that city block.
The 2 blocks.
And so he had real estate as well. What he was saying is that because this white man is in this position as lieutenant, deputy, commissioner, chief of staff, whatever the fuck his title was, he was taking all of that away from him. And so all of a sudden his business was in jeopardy. Different things were like, and so he said like, yeah, I did all of this, but it's just pieces of paper. They're trying to take everything away from me. So really I don't have nothing, because they could take it all away at any point in time because of, who he is and what we're dealing with. And so then he felt like he was again in the space of not having any options.
I see.
Poor Scatter. It's not fair. Why they do him like this? He just wanted to be a chef with his little chef outfit.
Okay, I loved it. And the hat. It was really hatting.
He took his hat off when he got on his gangster shit. Then he was like, all right, let's go back out there.
Okay. Let me
put my hat back on.
Took me out of character for a second.
Homeboy RD. Yes.
Okay. I am back to myself. That was pretty cool. Okay, now I get it, because I'm like, wait, all of a sudden you got mortgages and shit? Wait, what? You broke? Scatter me in. Go scatter somewhere, broke boy. But that's not the case. But I said it's not the case. I'm not a broke boy.
But I think it's so frustrating to see though. Like, you have these people who are doing these things just to get a way out, to get to a starting line where they all want to go legit. They all just want businesses that they can work and sustain and contribute to society. But they're being forced out of those positions because they're viewed as less than. They're viewed as pawns. You work for me. You can't do all of these other things. You're not good enough to do that. And so it was just very disheartening to see it. So I'm glad that, Priest was able to get away. I just hate that with blaxploitation films, we have to celebrate the one individual getting away as opposed to the entire community prevailing in defeating Honky, the man.
Yeah, and it makes me think. Shut up. We still talking about this white man. No. It makes me think when you're describing basically the storyline or the plot of this movie, this is not something that's new for Hollywood. As it's continued to come in different forms, whether that's like, power, that's like an infamous current one. Oh, not actually, Snowfall is more of the current one that's kind of going through this whole I'm gonna sell drugs and then I'm gonna get out the game type of mindset. And it sucks because, like you said, it's at a cost for something or a group of people. It's what we would call like an ethical dilemma, right? Where you have two split train tracks. On one train track, you got a crowd of people who could die, and then on one train track, you got a child. Which train do you decide to send the track? The train that you send the track to or on, whatever. You get what I'm saying? So. In this scenario, it's like he chose himself, but then it seems as if the greater good for the community is still suffering because now you've introduced this drug into your neighborhood. Because we get to see the glorified side of this, of course, in most situations, especially for Hollywood. We see the glorified drug dealer who's just trying to get out the game, but then we don't necessarily see the rise and how it impacted the neighborhoods that they sold to.
It's also the 70s, and I think cocaine was viewed as a little bit differently. It's not like he was selling heroin at the time. Like he was selling the party drug. He was selling the thing everybody's taking bumps. It's and not seeing it as detrimental as some of the other substances that unfortunately have been flooded in our community. But I think that's the biggest thing, and why I don't feel I feel it's kind of separated from the ethical dilemma of it as much as this was an intentional, systemic, purposeful plan that was done to our community. Mm-hmm. And so I have a very hard time viewing the individuals who were used as pawns in it as anything other than pawns, and who were used and victims of the system, as we all are. And I have a hard time with anyone who tries to really villainize drug dealers in that way, because it is, you aren't then looking at their perspective of not having any options. Mm-hmm. What would you rather he do in that moment if he can't get a job, if he can't do things that would sustain him to make a life and contribute to society in a certain way? Then what do you want him to do? And so, and in his mind, he created a family. That's how he was presenting it, especially throughout the beginning of the movie of, we can push this. We have a family that's strong. He viewed it as he built up this crew. He empowered these people. He's putting money in the pockets of these individual people who he's around, who wouldn't have options had they not been presented with the opportunities that they were given. And so it's kind of hard to view it as anything other than that. For me personally, I don't judge anyone else for seeing it. I just can't view it in any other way, just because, one, I've seen people who felt like they didn't have any other option. And two, I can't judge someone for things that they've done out of desperation to survive. Mm-hmm. Because who knows what I would do? We said on here, selling cash for emergencies only. So if I get into an emergency, we just said we don't want to sell drugs, but these loans is knocking on our door. So when you are at a point where the system has fucked you over so much,
I still feel like it can still be a ethical dilemma, though. Right? Where you're just like, okay, so what do I choose? I mean, you're only given these two shitty ass options, right? Like, shit, I had a real big ethical dilemma. This is shit, but this is shittier. Which one do I take?
It's only an ethical dilemma is if you view drug dealing as unethical. If you don't view dealing drugs as unethical,
no.
If you view it as, if I don't sell these drugs, somebody else is, then it doesn't. To me, it's hard to to force my ethics and what I view to be right and wrong on someone else's situation. But I fully get and understand what you're saying. It's just, to me, you're only in that situation if you view it as unethical. And we see like the Hotep brothers come and try to sit down with him, and it's like, you got to pay your due, you moving and shaking in our community. He like, well, when you ready to kill Whitey, I'll be right there with you. Until then, get the fuck out my face, because I got some shit to do and some people coming to see me. Don't let them find your ass here when they get here.
It's true. It's true. Mm-hmm. However, I will say that Eddie was still one of those like kind of things that was trying to keep him in, right? So he did have to make a decision on like, do I continue this because I know that he's going to need me, or this family that I've established is going to need me. So I feel like there was a decision that he had to make, and he chose himself. Yeah. And that was, I need to get out of this because I want more for myself. I want to do something different. And it's not always easy. I guess maybe it was boundary setting for him. And, you know, setting boundaries can be really difficult and hard because we have to put a strict line in saying, no, I'm not doing this anymore. Or no, this is not what I'm willing to do. And I think this is an interesting example of boundary setting. But I also want to go back to a point you said as far as like, you know, this time and era being in the 70s and it being a party drug, and where we are now currently, you know, and just like how moral and values have changed over the decades since this movie, obviously, or this time period, and how we're interacting with people who are drug dealers, but, you know, there are real issues bigger than what was presented in this particular movie or this era in time. And how do you work with those types of clients, you know, and seeing that what they're doing, they have no remorse. They're like, it's just the game. How do you tap into that as far as helping them understand that there's more and helping them see? Because I feel like that's a challenge now for me, especially, you know, working with Black boys, especially, is like they are surrounded. Every corner has a new gang or a new person that's trying to recruit them into their shit, you know? So like, it really feels like they have no option. But how do you, as a clinician, help them see that there are options when they don't have too many?
I think that goes back to that, because we see that with priests, where he don't view drug dealing as a terrible act, but he still knows that it's not the lifestyle that he wants for himself any longer. And so really just tapping into, what does the future look like? What are the things that you do want? Are these what you're doing right now? Is that going to get you to the place that you do want? Even if we break it down to very basic solution focus, you had the magic wand, you could live any way that you wanted to. Life could look however you want it to look. Bibbidi bop boop. What does it look like? Make me feel like I'm there. And from them describing what that is, okay, so here is where we are. What is something that can move us one step closer to that? And so breaking it down into those smaller things, because again, at the end of the day, it's not our job to judge. It's not our job at all to give advice. And so it's all about what it is that the client wants for themselves. And if they're not at a place or ready to necessarily make an entire, or have the resources, more importantly, to make an entire lifestyle change. Okay, what are the things that are within our control for right now? How do you get at a closer place of wholeness for you and for yourself, so that you can relieve some of this distress? Because if you're at a point where it's causing you distress, then clearly something does need to change. And what are the things that are within your control that we can begin to change? Because the more that you allow light in, the more that you no longer crave the darkness. And you're going to seek the light more and more. And so just beginning the steps. I always talk about how it's one step in front of the other. It's a stair step. We're building tools on top of building tools. How do you become a more effective individual? And so whether it is you working on leadership style, because they got these people that's working for them. Okay, we need to look at communication. All of those things are going to, at the end of the day, also make that person a better individual. They're going to interact with their family a little bit more differently. They're going to act maybe with their children in a more effective way. And also things that would be decreasing the likelihood that they get killed out here in these streets because some of that impulse control, that reactivity, that separation from self are the things like we see with Eddie that cause negative reactions. And so, and Freddie.
Yeah.
Let's just not be dumb. Let's work on not being dumb. And why is your affect not matching the situation? Like, there's so many different things that you could look at to work on with each and every single one of these people about how can you just be more effective in your everyday, day-to-day living. Let's look at that first. And then if it does get to a point where you're ready to make a lifestyle change, okay, then what does that look like? And move on going forward from there. I feel like I said a lot and said nothing at the same time.
I feel like you answered the question perfectly. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. So I just had one last little thought about how amazing Curtis Mayfield is, about how he made the music that is representative of the time, of the film, that he looks like a postal worker in the face. He looks like he should be like, he should work at Steve's Meats. Like he's back behind the counter chopping up the ribs and making meat packages. Yes, that's what he looks like to me. And I can't get over it. And every time I see him, no matter how good the music sounds, I'm always like, yeah, he looks like he sorts the mail.
He looks very common.
Everyday man. That's why he was able to make such good music, because he do the spirit of the everyday man, because he looked like the everyday man in the face. He do not look like a rock star of the 70s. Like when you look at Isaac Hayes looked like a rock star of the 70s. Curtis Mayfield did not.
He was very humbled.
Oh, is that what it is?
By his life experience. And he said, I'm not going to let these people change how I present myself. I'm going to be me.
Oh. He did that.
He did. That's just my theory, friends. I don't know this man.
More importantly, I'm just glad that you are taking this journey with me into blaxploitation, and I think that we have another blaxploitation film coming up after this one, just to dig deep into it, because we've done the drug dealers. Now it's time to get into this pimping.
Pimping, baby. I don't know if I'll be able to have the outfit for this next one, but I'm gonna work on it.
I think that you haven't seen the movie yet, so you don't even know what the outfit should be.
You're right. What should my outfit be?
Because I know you didn't watch the movie yet. I know you haven't seen the movie yet. So we're just gonna go on with check out the next episode, guys, because it is going to be amazing. I'm super excited and can't wait. But if you would like to support the show to help us get more content out to you all, you can visit our website and follow the support the show link to become a Patreon member or donate on our Cash App. Now, we're happy to get the kind of money that jingles, but we'd rather the kind that folds. As always, be sure to follow us on Instagram at the BSM Podcast, and you can subscribe to our show wherever you get podcasts. While you're there, leave us a comment, because we are counselors and actually care about what you have to say. Until next time, y'all. Peace.
Okay, bye.
Little child running wild, watch a while. You see, he never smiled. Mama time, so is all alone. Kinda sad, kinda mad. Ghetto child, thinking he's been had. In the back of his mind he said, didn't have to be here.